Hey besties. So it's been a couple of hours since I went and saw Spider-Man Brand New Day. And yeah, as you can see, I am still wearing this cool Spider-Man t-shirt from the Soul Store. And as you can see, I am a tad sleep deprived. That is to be expected, to be honest. I traveled to a whole different town just to experience a brand new day. So, without further ado, let's get into the review. I will try and, uh, well, I mean, this is going to be a spoiler review, so uh, you have clicked on this video at your own risk. But I'll try and make it interesting without completely rehashing all the points from my letterbox review, right? So, Spider-Man Brand New Day is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, the same genius mind who brought us Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Love that movie, right? This movie also has Bruce Banner, which, if you've seen Shang-Chi, he was in the post-credit scene of that movie. What I want to say is Spider-Man Brand New Day is definitely one of the boldest Spider-Man movies ever made in the MCU, and it's definitely the best Spider-Man movie since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Now, having said all that, the movie does have its flaws, but again, it's gonna earn a lot of money. It's gonna earn a lot of money, and it deserves all of that. So let's break it down point by point, shall we? Again, without getting to rubric rating. So the movie is 2 hours and 25 minutes long. If you're seeing the Indian release, that there's about 8 seconds trimmed. 8 seconds worth of kisses, by the way. It's not that important. I mean, what I did find frustrating in the Indian release was the muting of certain cuss words, which wasn't really needed, and the gratuitous alcohol warning. Hey, that drinking and smoking is injurious to health. Even when you can't see if someone is drinking something, like it's not obvious what someone's drinking, and even when there's no person actually smoking, that stupid disclaimer comes on screen. It was a bit annoying, but I saw the movie in 4DX, right? And it was an amazing experience. Tom Holland and John Bernthal, they really embody their characters. Their buddy comedy vibe is, I mean, it was unexpected, to be honest, because usually you've seen John Bernthal interacting with characters like Karen Page or Matt Murdock. So his interaction with Spider Man, it was refreshing to see, right? Now Zendaya as MJ Watson, right? Michelle Jones Watson. She she gives a generational performance in this movie. Like some of the most impactful, some of the most emotionally, like I want to say some of the most emotionally impactful scenes. You can split them between Zendaya, Marissa Tomei's Aunt May, who's here as like more of a flashback thing, and Sadie Sink. Which, spoiler alert, again, this is a spoiler video, so you've clicked on it at your own risk. Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey, and when you hear that at first, you're like, "There's no way that's gonna work in the Spider-Man movie," and there's no way Sony agreed to this. Well, it does work surprisingly well. I mean, given the thematic elements of the movie, given everything Peter is going through, given everything Jean is going through, actually. So it definitely creates an interesting parallel between the two characters, like Jean Grey and Peter Parker. Both have lost people important to them. So in the case of Peter, it was his Aunt May, his mentor Tony Stark. In the case of Jean Grey, it was her sister Sarah Grey, right? So we actually don't know if she's dead or if William Metzger was bluffing. Like in the comics, there's this whole thing about Sarah Grey allegedly being dead for 30 years and then she just shows up one day, right? So I hope they do explore that further down the line in the Mutant Saga. Um, but yeah, this movie was peak. The music was done by Michael Giacchino, and yeah, you can already tell that score is gonna be like people are gonna stream that stuff on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever they listen to music because it is peak. It does definitely elevates a lot of the scenes. The CGI doesn't feel like overdone or like underdone either because a lot of the stunts were practical in this movie. Yelena Belova, so Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova, um, she is also a stand-up performer here. She is actually starting to grow more into a kind and somewhat zany mentor figure. Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, well, both as Bruce Banner as the Hulk, you can really see why this guy was cast in this movie. Like he he starts off the movie as just Bruce Banner with the inhibitor, and then he becomes Smart Hulk, and then he just completely hulks out. and during the third act of the movie, which is refreshing to see. But then it's also like not like the end game. Like it's not like the final battle. So, for example, if you've seen Captain America, uh, Brave New World. Well, I forgot what the new title was. Right. I don't think it was Brave New World. It was Captain America something. I forgot. Anyway, so in that a Hulk battle, like the Red Hulk battle, was basically the whole third act, and then there was the post credits. Here it's more like it sets up the final conflict, right, and it also sets up Jean Grey on a path to redemption, which was, yeah, it was pretty refreshing to see. One thing that was really hilarious to me was the hand being reduced to, relegated to really C tier, higher, for higher goons, like for higher ninjas, like they're working for the DODC, which was, yeah, it was funny to see that, right? So that's about the antagonist of the movie. Jean Grey does play more of an antagonistic role in this movie, but again, it's justified, um, because it's her trauma and everything. Like you go through the whole character arc, you see everything that's going on with her. And as for the other characters, let's talk about Jacob Batalon. Jacob Batalon has proven why he works as Ned Leeds, and I am no longer rooting for him to become Hobgoblin like he does in the comics. And yeah, like Jacob Batalon, Zendaya, Eman Esfandi is actually barely in the movie. Like he is more absent than Ezra Bridger, like in the Star Wars continuity, like in the Ahsoka show. Like man just pops in, has a dialogue, and then just vanishes. Even Zendaya takes pot shots at him, like even though he's supposed to be her boyfriend. Which was, yeah. I think this review is pretty, it's meandering. It's losing the plot, which brings me to one of my issues with the movie. Right, the movie is 2 hours and 25 minutes long, and it really does feel that it's that long because the first 10 minutes or so they really take their time. Like they don't like just jump into the action or just they take their time to establish the world, establish what Peter's going through, and then the second half of the movie, or rather, everything after the first 10 minutes, it feels so fast paced, like so breakneck. Like it really feels like there's tonal whiplash there, which I feel could have been improved. Like some things could have been cut or some things could have been added to make that pacing feel a little bit better. Michael Mando's Scorpion is in this movie, right? He is great in this movie, but he really serves to further Peter's plot and Jean's, Jean's backstory and everything. I really wish they utilized him a bit more. Tombstone is barely in the movie. He's in like a montage at the beginning of the movie. So Marvin Jones the third plays Tombstone, and you do hear him get called as Lonnie. So it's confirmed that that's Lonnie Lincoln Tombstone, right? So yeah, if I were to give this movie a rating, right? Again, I've already done some of my letterbox review, but my rating for this movie would be 8.8 out of 10 or 4.5 stars out of 5. Like you should go see this movie on the biggest screen possible. Now, before I end this review, there is one thing I do need to talk about, right? And again, if this doesn't apply to you, great. You've seen most of what this review has to offer. But this is a health concern. So if you have epilepsy like I do, um, it's probably better to either skip this movie in theaters or not go see it in 4DX. Or if you go to the theater, see it in 4DX or whatever format you want to see it in. Make sure you are not caffeinated, because the thing is, this movie has a lot of jumping back and forth between Jean and the people she possesses, a lot of flashing lights, that sort of thing, and the 4DX actually makes it worse for people with epilepsy. So, I actually really enjoyed the movie, but like when these scenes came on, um, I was struggling not to have a seizure, which, yeah, not the best experience, but hey, that is something you should keep in mind if you have epilepsy, right? Anyway, that's me. Enough yapping from my side. You should really go see this movie if you are a person that enjoys Marvel movies, if you're a person who enjoys Spider-Man movies. This is definitely Tom Holland's magnum opus, his best performance since No Way Home, his best on-screen portrayal of Peter Parker, and the most loyal to the comics, by the way, the most loyal portrayal of Peter Parker. since the Sam Raimi days. So yeah, and also the whole organic webbing thing. That's a whole another thing that I haven't touched on in this review video. I did touch on it in my Letterbox review, but yeah, again, uh, you know, you should really go see this movie in theaters. It's peak. We are so back. Marvel is so back. Like also one last thing, the post credit scene is a bit short, and some people might be like, "Is that really what I stayed for?" But it is impactful, so you should probably go watch an explainer video by Screen Crush or by New Rock Stars to explain why that scene actually is necessary. My whole gripe with that scene is though, like, well, that scene and just net in general in this movie is sure, like Bruce Banner knowing stuff like you know mRNA transcriptomics and gene silencing, that works, but there is zero explanation for how Jacob Batalon's Ned Leeds Spidey Tracker app works, and the post credit scene has to do with this Spidey Tracker app, right? So there is zero explanation given to how that works, and it's just like a convenience, like do ex machina, which I didn't really appreciate. So that's why at some points, and of course, Eman is Fandi, and then there's the pacing issues, and then there's the underutilization of Michael Mando. But yeah, besides that, if not for these points, this movie would be a 5 star, 10 out of 10. But we don't live in a perfect world, so I give it a 4.5 out of 5 and an 8.8 out of 10. Right? So that's me. Enough yapping from my side. As you can see, this is completely unedited, so it's just like me talking in OBS. There is no Spider-Man visuals besides me wearing this T-shirt. Um, yeah, that is me. Character out, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.